Vice President and Minister of Public Security, Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan, Honorable Minister of Communities, Mr. Ronald Bulkan, Honorable Minister of Public Infrastructure, Mr. David Patterson, Commissioner of Police, Acting, Mr. David Ramnarayan, Vice Chairman, Region Number 4, invited guests, members of the media. This morning, you're invited here to witness the launching of the Road Safety Action Plan 2017-2019. This plan is being launched with in collaboration with the Road Safety Council, the Guyana Road Safety Council, and the Ministry of Public Security under the theme, "Life does not have a reset button. Drive carefully."
In the year 2016, having recognized that there has been an increase in fatal accidents, when we were at the time 89 accidents and 96 deaths, the Guyana Police Force, along with its stakeholders, launched Operation Safeway. Safeway was launched to minimize accidents and deaths on our roads, using some strategies such as maximize the use of the radar and breathalyzer gun, increase in patrols both by day and night. We decided to increase the patrols by night because of the fact that the accidents occur during a period when it's dark, and that is the period when the visibility of police is not that prevalent like in the day. Having launched Operation Safeway, at the end of the year, we recognized that there were 117 deaths, 117 accidents, 128 deaths. Our prognosis has shown that hadn't been for Safeway, the accident and deaths would have been at 132 deaths with 128 accidents, which would have been greater than the amount that we arrived at. However, for the period so far in this year, we are presently at 35 fatal accidents with 38 deaths, compared with 44 accidents last year with 45 deaths, which shows that we are, at the moment, 17% decrease in fatal accidents and a 14% decrease in deaths. This is in no way still not acceptable if we were to look at the action plan, which shows that we need a 50% reduction in accidents by the year 2020. But how can we do it? We can only do it with the support of all our stakeholders. The Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, and our own ministry, the Ministry of Public Security, plays an integral role. They are very supportive, and hence the action plan is for us, the members of the wider society, to embrace and to fight against errant road users who choose to do all kinds of things in all sorts of ways. We must understand that road safety is not the police function or the minister's function. Road safety is about us. It is what we do. We must acknowledge the importance of safety as long as you decide to move. There's a saying, crime is not a must, but traffic is a must, because one do not have to commit crime to survive, but one must move from point A to point B in order to survive.
First, let me express thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity to make these brief remarks on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, who's on duty overseas, and the members of the Guyana Police Force. Much has been said about the traffic situation in Guyana. We read about it, we hear about it, we discuss it, we see it. Some of us may have relatives who are victims of it. That is the reality. In a recent newspaper editorial, the caption was, "Too many are dying on our roads." And I thought that it might have been better expressed for impact, "Too many are killed on our roads." That's the truth. Too many are not dying, too many are killed. the gruesome manner of the occurrences, killed, in my opinion, would be a better word to properly describe and create an impact. In the midst of all this road carnage, we have continually, we have from time immemorial, in all our exposes to stakeholders across this country, been emphasizing, reiterating the need for the 5 C's to be ever present in our thinking, in our actions, once we enter that vehicle, whether as a driver or a passenger or what. That is care, consideration, common sense, courtesy, and caution. In essence, what is happening today with this loss of lives on the roads, I would sum it up this way. In essence, a compassionate, caring, and concerning appreciation for fellow road users is absent. In essence, a compassionate, caring, concerning appreciation for fellow road users is absent. They're all absent, way short. There is no doubt that human and economic losses have become and are increasingly becoming endemic. This plan of action, which I've seen presented here today, once strenuously and conscientiously implemented in the national interests, because in my tenure as former high school teacher and now police officer, there's always this element of a self-serving interest that derails a much needed and valuable process. So that's why I want to emphasize that this plan of action, once strenuously and conscientiously implemented in the national interest, should provide much needed efficacy vis-a-vis relief to us all. We all know that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that is why there is this collaboration. Ministries, other key stakeholders, NGOs. That's why we're here. On behalf of the Commissioner and the Guyana Police Force, we stand ready. We are ready to participate in the only way to make this possible, and that is meaningfully. We are not short of manpower. We are not short of breathalyzers. We're not short of radar guns. What is short across the length and breadth of this country is the attitude regarding the use of the roads that I referred to earlier. I thank you.
I note that the theme for this action plan is, and I quote, "Time for results. Together we can save lives." Ladies and gentlemen, this is a theme that I can endorse, because looking at the statistics for the past years, it does suggest the need for urgent results, and I'll get back to that. I would like to begin by acknowledging that people are our most precious resource. Not gold, not diamonds, not timber, nor the oil that will soon begin to flow, but our people. If we think of Japan, for example, a country that has very little natural resources, and we're all aware of the highly sophisticated products that are manufactured in Japan, and I believe it's also no secret that the majority of cars on our road are made in Japan. It tells us the importance of the human resource. And I can attest that Guyanese ingenuity and Guyanese skills are second to none. It is unfortunate that too many of our countrymen and women have to give up their talents and expertise in foreign countries. So the imperative is there that we need to protect our population As it is small enough to begin with, and it is actually even declining. We need all of our human resources to develop our country. Yes, road users must demonstrate greater responsibility, but our traffic authorities need to rigorously enforce our traffic laws. Improvements in the enforcement of our traffic laws will act as a deterrent to the careless and reckless use of our roadways. Yes, other authorities, including my ministry, have their responsibility. Pedestrian pavements and walkways are needed, as we have heard from Kester. And very importantly, road safety education must reach every school and every home. Again, I can refer to when I was a little younger, the mantra for road users was look left, look right, and look left again. And when it is safe, cross the road. These days, we see people crossing the road diagonally, and many other careless uses of the road. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have any recommendations? Yes, I do, and I will simplify them. The first of these would be to suggest that we examine what was done in the 2008 to 2013 period, because it is acknowledged that whilst we are entitled to our own opinions, we are not entitled to our own facts. And the facts relating to that period, shows that there was a marked improvement on the problem, where it significantly reduced fatalities, as I said, down by 31.5%, and it was sustained over a period of 6 years. So my suggestion is that it would be helpful to reach and engage those who spearheaded the efforts in those years. I believe those results could not have been achieved by accident. They had to be as a result of a plan.
The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has long believed that road safety cannot be achieved in isolation, and the National Road Safety Council has been doing a great job for as long as I can remember in pushing for multi-stakeholder participation in addressing road safety. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure has always extended an invitation from the Road Safety Council, and we're always happy to accept these invites because we, like the National Road Safety Council, recognize the integral role of the collective in addressing our problems. It is because we recognize the importance of togetherness that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure hosted a road safety workshop in collaboration with the International Road Federation just a few weeks ago in April. At this workshop, we brought together key stakeholders to transfer knowledge and skills to enable us as a country to accurately diagnose our shortcomings when it comes to road safety. And make no mistakes, addressing our shortcomings is a priority. The government of Guyana, over the years, has taken the mantle in addressing road traffic accidents. We continue to explore new ways of doing so, including massive road rehabilitation works designed to incorporate safety mechanisms that will improve the safety of all road users. We have also been doing our part in addressing speeding, drunk driving, and the use of seatbelts, largely through the use of public awareness campaigns. Some of our actions include ensuring that there are proper and adequate road signage and road markings to ensure that road users are properly guided. The construction of sidewalks, as what we will be seeing more of on Wolford Avenue, and overhead pedestrian passes. The installation of raised pedestrian markers, street lights, and traffic lights. The placement of speed bumps, particularly near schools and hospitals. And perhaps most importantly, promotion of road safety through education. I say that the promotion of road safety through education is perhaps the most important thing, because the best infrastructure in the world and the best road safety action plans are pointless when people refuse to change. Before I conclude my brief remarks, I would like to offer some advice to the Road Safety Council. What you're doing here is important work. You're setting the stage for Guyana's approach to road safety for the next 2 years. I urge you not to let this action plan become another stack of printed pages taking up desk space. I also hope that the action plan addresses not just accidents and reducing them, but also gives consideration to the safety and the well-being of our people, particularly our vulnerable groups, when it comes to the using of our roadways and the comfort they feel when doing so.
The fact that we can produce in a couple of months after to and froing from the various other stakeholders, inclusive of the ministers here, communities, infrastructure especially, then of course the police and so many others, mean that indeed a special effort was put into it. And yes, I am an avid reader of the newspapers, and I have seen those letters mentioned, which indicate as if there wasn't anything being done. But lots were being done. Operation Safe Way. And almost everything you do in Guyana to ensure that you have a better day in relation to vehicular traffic accidents and so on, we get criticized. The police tries to ease up the traffic and the speeding on the road by having a number of policemen on the East Coast and the East Bank. People cuss the police. You're slowing up their time to reach the town. I started very early in my ministerialship the curfew, because the stats were showing heavy drinking on Friday afternoon, Saturday afternoon, and so on, were causing major accidents. The emergency section of PhD was being packed up those afternoons and evenings and right up in the mornings. And you try to bring a curfew, and you all know the criticisms you get. So everything that is good, literally, that is employed, we get criticism for. And so that is why it will have to take courage and boldness. It will have to take fearlessness in the face of so much criticism to do that which is right. And I believe that the Commissioner is right in saying it is right to do it in time, and no time than now is a better time. So we feel too that apart from the major things that have to be done, there might have to be more amendments to the law. We might have to start making mandatory, for purposes of causing death by dangerous driving convictions, disqualification. As was mentioned here, and the question being asked, is that indeed, although disqualification is a penalty that could be inflicted, normally if someone is found guilty of causing death by dangerous driving, magistrate would give a fine and or a sentence of imprisonment, but then no disqualification after the imprisonment, because some feel that indeed it is okay after they get their imprisonment or if they pay their fine. But there is need, and more, the lobby is that we should have, apart from imprisonment and fine, a compulsory disqualification. I have started the process that if you're charged with causing death by dangerous driving, that we are now going to, under the section where the minister has the power, to disqualify those charged during the period of awaiting their trial, for disqualifying them from driving. So we do a period of suspension. And that will have an effect, I'm absolutely certain. You know, what causes all these accidents largely has to do with the recklessness and the carelessness and an uncaring attitude of members of the public. Minibus driving real bad, and the passengers would never tell the minibus to stop, and I'm going to report you. Driving real fast. and they wouldn't say a word, even taxi drivers. Family members in cars, private cars, know that the fella got 10 drinks in excess of what he should have been drinking. And yeah, man, drive. And then when he drive a little more fast. You're taking too long to reach home. We are the ones at fault all the time. But we care not. And we go about the business as if some other person is at fault, or the government is at fault. They didn't make a smooth road. They didn't put this and that there, or a signage there. You know, when we had all this modern amenities and all of that, we used to have far less deaths on the road. You know why? Because people cared. But these days, I don't know. It's a generational thing, I suppose, where, you know, we just feel entitled, and we must have our speeds, and we must have our drinks, and we must have our phone to our ears, that have caused about 10 deaths through inattentiveness. And then we put the blame at somebody, and then we go and we lie to the police when they're doing their investigation. We do not want to be responsible. And it's that individual irresponsibility that has caused this massive loss over that time period that we see there. Every year almost, 115, 116 at an average. People dying. Hundreds more disabled, disfigured. Families affected as a result. Then the damage to all these public property. The road is damaged. The cars are damaged. The culvert probably, some smash into, as I said, lantern post and all of that, causing blackout in the area and inconvenience. So many people. The fault lies in us and not in our stars. And if we as a result start also, notwithstanding all the pillars that we're going to implement, doing better at the individually responsible area, our individual responsibility sphere, we are going to go a far way in reaching that 50% reduction. I can assure you that. And that is what we must do apart from all that this plan talks about. Indeed, to get a number of these things done requires monies. Because to talk about the $5 million, the simulation in an area, benefits in a certain park and all of that. Those things will cost money. But it doesn't cost us anything if we be a little more courteous, a little more cautious, a little more caring, a little more compassionate on the roads. It wouldn't cost us. We will benefit certainly, because the possibility of any damage to our vehicle or damage to our limb or life is zero if we do that.